With X16, we basically have the same thing as X15, except they're going to be a little bit more complicated. Okay, they're going to be a little harder, a little more work. Okay, we're starting off with number one. Let me go over though. Like terms. Remember, like terms have to have identical variable parts. Constant terms, just a number. Variable terms are numbers in a variable. Okay, there has to be a letter. Remember, the letters have to be identical. They have to be exactly the same to be like terms. Go ahead, do number one. And you should get 6z. Some of you can go 10 minus 4 and get 6. Otherwise, you can rewrite it to adding the opposite. Number two, number two, they have parentheses. So when you're looking at number two, can I combine anything in here? No. Can I combine anything in here? No. So the parentheses are really, you don't need them. Because of your commutative properties and your associative properties, you're adding everything, so you don't need the parentheses. Okay? So this problem here is the same as 5p plus 2 plus the 8p plus 6. Go ahead, combine like terms. Computers closed, please, so we don't get distracted. And you should end up with 13p plus 8 for number two. Number three, what do you think we have to do first? Yeah, there's a term I'm looking for. Right. Get to the distributive property right here. Okay? Right there, you got to do the distributive property first. Go ahead. Do the distributive property, then you can combine like terms. When we do the distributive property, we get 80, and then minus 8j. What do you think I'm going to do with this minus? Change it to adding the opposite, okay? I am going to change this to adding the opposite. Now I can combine like terms, 8j, negative 8j. This isn't my final answer, is 0j, right? Because 8 plus a negative 8 plus the 80. Well, 0j, It doesn't matter what value the j is. It could be a billion. It could be a negative billion. It's going to be 0. So 0 plus 80 is 80. So your final answer is just 80. Okay? 0j, do not type that in IXL. You'll get it wrong. Okay? 0j is 0. So 0 plus 80 is 80. Questions on how to go through this now. Notice the 8j just stayed out front. And I did my distributive property. I changed my subtracting to adding the opposite. Combined like terms, which is just 0. So I get 80. Go ahead, number 4. On number 4, when you do the distributive property, you're done. That's your answer. This is a variable term. This is a constant term. I cannot combine those together. They are not like terms. Go ahead, number 5. Oh boy, number 5. Negatives and a minus. Woo! All right. If you did not get 10t plus 15, please pay attention. Okay, please follow along. So we're going to go -2 times the -9, positive 18. Subtracting, and then you have to go the -2 times the 5t. Remember, we have distributive property. I got to take that number out front times both. That's why it's so important that you do your homework. Not somebody else doing your IXLs. No, you doing your IXLs. Okay, that's why it is so important you are doing them, because now you get to this assignment, you have to do the distributive property, but if somebody else did your IXLs, you might not know how to do this. Okay, so we get subtract a -t, and then I still have my plus -3. I rewrote the subtracting a negative. So 18, and then this is plus the -3. So I have all adding here. And then I combine like terms. I just have the 1t term here. So there's 10t or 10t. So I have 10t. And then 18 plus a -3 is 15. Number 6. Go ahead. See if you can get number 6 right. Each time you're trying to learn. I would rewrite for that plus and -4 plus first. Variable. Variable terms of a letter. Just have that under. Now I know some of you understand the negatives, the subtracting negatives, the adding the opposite. You understand all that stuff. So rewriting it isn't something that you have to do, but some of you don't. Some of you keep getting these wrong. So please rewrite it. Okay? Once I have all adding, I'm going to combine like terms. Me, out of just habit, I always look for my variables first. Okay? I always look for my variables first. I just have the 2K. Then my constant terms. So on my little calculator in my brain, I'm going to go 7 plus -4, 3 plus 9, 12 plus a -2, 10. I get plus 10. Again, if you don't get that, you don't understand how I got 10, do it on the calculator. Go 7 plus -4 plus 9 plus -2, enter. It'll give you 10. So it's plus 10. Questions on 6? All right, number 7. Please ask, you guys. Remember to ask. I cannot read minds. Four plus 10 is 14, plus 6 is 20, plus a -10 is 10. Now, some of you on your paper, you can just write, it doesn't fit for me, but you can just change the subtracting to adding and then put a little negative there. How many people can make that fit on their paper? You can just go a little plus and then a negative, right? You can do that right on your paper. You don't have to rewrite everything. I have to, because otherwise it gets too clustered and it's too hard to read, and I got to make sure you guys can read it. So I rewrite everything, but you don't have to necessarily rewrite everything. You can just do this, okay? Then you combine like terms. All the P terms, add them up. Again, just punch it in the calculator. Hopefully we get 10, and then plus 4. Now, number 8. Here's the thing with number 8. When you get up into your 80s or your upper 70s, you're going to get problems like this, okay? And here is the thing. You are subtracting all of that. Okay, you are subtracting all of that. You are not just subtracting the 3x. Okay, so what you have to do is have 7x, I can write this in black. We have 7x plus 9, and then it's kind of like the distributive property. Some teachers, when they teach it this way. They, instead of having just minus this, it's -1, and they do the distributive property. Okay, that's fine if you want to think of it that way. I just do it this way, minus 3x, and then minus 6. Okay, you can do it the other way. You can have plus a -6 there. Okay, when you do the negative here with the 3x, instead of writing minus 3x, The same thing is adding a negative 3x. Okay, we're just carrying this subtraction through. So, plus a negative 3x or minus 3x, same thing. Plus a negative 6 or minus the 6. Does everyone follow that? You have to carry that to both parts, not just the first. Most common mistake is after today, you will carry this negative just to the first number. You got to do it to both. Okay? Again, it's the distributive property. We're distributing this negative to both. Finish the problem. And again, when you get up into the 70s, 80s, you're going to get more of this type of question. And you should end up with 4x plus 3. 7x plus a negative 3x is 4x. 9 plus a negative 6 is 3. All right, go ahead. You can either finish X15 first, then work on X16. That's what I would suggest to do. Finish the easier one before you go to the harder one. But remember, if you are not done with them at the end of class, it is homework. If you're not done at the end of class, it's homework.
Can I go to Mr.
Yes. You can, but remember, if you're going to redo it, then yeah, do corrections. If you're not going to retake it, you don't have to do corrections. And then, yeah, okay. Yeah, that's fine. You can do them on the back. I don't know. Can you? No, I'm kidding. Let's try to wait first.